Hi, this is Lynn from Alamosa Quote Company, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fun little wallet. So it's got three pockets. There's one here in the middle, and then these unsnap. Both sides unsnap, and you can put, I don't know, cash, credit cards, your IDs, whatever you want. So let's get to making one. So what you're going to need two pieces of fabric. These are approximately 11-inch or so. You need something to draw a circle. This is a 10.5-inch circle. This is 10.5-inch plate, 10.5-inch diameter across, and you just need to draw the circle on, the back of one of the fabrics. And then I like to make a little mark where I'm going to leave an opening. And, that far, which is about 3 inches opening. And then we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew on the line all the way around, leaving an opening. Okay, so I'm going to start right here on one of the little marks that I made for the opening. I'm going to sew right on the line, take a few stitches forward, back stitch a little bit. You can pin your two pieces together if you want. I'm just hoping for the best. Oh, I got off. Hang on. Start over. You don't need to, I don't need to trim if I get off, but I'm going to come back and stay on the line. And here I come to my other mark. Okay, cut my threads. So, where did I get off? Oh, here it is. So I'll show you. I came and I started sewing on this side of the circle. That's in the seam allowance, so I just came back and continued on. I don't need to rip that out or anything like that because it'll be in the seam allowance. It'll be fine. If you sew off on this side, then you got to rip. But over here, this is the part I'm cutting off. It doesn't matter. Okay, now we're going to trim the excess away from our circle. And I want to leave about 1/2 inch or so seam allowance right here where I'm going to tuck it in. Trim that, and then I'm going to get my pinking shears and trim all the way around with my pinking shears, pretty close. You don't have to use pinking shears if you don't have pinking shears. You can just cut close, but pinking shears allow the seam allowance to fold in nicer on a curve. Okay, all this is trash. Now I'm going to try to do a little bit better job at this than I did with the other one. So I'm going to press these back on my drawn line a little bit. Hopefully when I turn it, it'll be a little easier. It's not exact, but at least I get somewhat of a curve. Okay, now turn it right side out. And get your poker. Chopstick works just fine. And run it around the edge here, and we're going to want to press this nicely. Take your time with this. This is probably the most time-consuming part of the whole thing. Okay, and then you want to tuck these in to continue the circle as best you can. Oh, I think I can do better than that. All right, I'm done playing with it. That's good enough. So now we're going to top stitch all the way around the edge to seal that opening. Okay, I like to start at the opening so that I'm sure I've got that closed. Just right along the edge. Okay, now this is my main fabric, and so I want to take this and I want to fold it in half like this and press that fold in there because we're going to need that in a minute. Okay, and then on the curved edge, you want a 6.5-inch line. This is a 6.5-inch ruler. You want to make sure you're drawing the line straight. So I'm going to use up here to make sure it's straight, but I want the corners of the ruler to be right on the edges of the fabric, and make sure that you're approximately the same distance in. And then draw a line. I'm using a permanent marker, one of these micron pens. This line is not going to show, but just draw a 6.5-inch long line, just like that. Okay, and we are going to sew right across that line. Okay, now on this line that we just sewed, and we sewed all the way through both sides, on the line we just sewed, we want to fold this open and press that line right onto, let me cut that thread, that's driving me nuts. I'm going to open it out and press it so that that sewn line is right down the center. So here's, well, and press this. Get the camera high enough. So here we go. And see, this is lined up right there, right on that press line, up here right on the press line, and then just press this nice. And so see, you can use whatever you want to mark that line because it's hidden. No one's going to see it. Okay, now we're going to fold this in half. Give it a good press again. Okay. And now we just need to make some marks. We want to just come straight across right at the top of where these circles meet. Just come straight across. And this is one of those Frixion markers, so it will erase away. So I just want to make a little line right here. Hope that bicycle tire doesn't interfere with my black marker. Nope, I can still see it. And then we're going to sew these two sides shut, stopping or starting at that line, that little mark right there. Okay, so I'm gonna start at the mark I made, and just right along the edge. I'm gonna back stitch too, all the way down. Back stitch. Okay, now you need some snaps, and this basically just folds over right where you stopped stitching, or right at the top of the circly parts there on both sides. And you want to take an awl or something. We just need to install some snaps. And so what I did was just decided where I wanted the snaps. There's really no measuring involved if you don't want to. And I'm just going to push it all the way down through my wool mat. See, it comes out the other side. Can you see that? There it is. Comes out the other side. That's just so that I can get them all lined up nice and even. And so these finger snaps, I'm not going to do all the finger snaps because you got to install 4 of them. But we'll do one side. These finger snaps are cool. Hardest part is getting that little hole to come, or that little post to come through, and just kind of have to move the threads of the fabric out of the way and get it, that little post to poke all the way through. That's probably good enough. And then it just snaps right in. There we go. Push down hard. Oh, did you hear it? So it's installed. And now you just install all the other snaps through those holes, and you get a little wallet. So it's big enough. There's a pocket right through here that's just open, and then these 2 pockets are snap shut. Now it's going to be easiest if you're using snaps, especially these finger snaps, if you have this one come up through the seam in between, okay? Because this is pretty thick, and the finger snaps, they will work because these I put them through the fabric. One side I put through the fabric, the other side I put through the seam. Believe me, it was easier to put it through the seam. So, if you want to make a fun little project, you can use any kinds of snaps. You could use velcro if you wanted. I don't know. You could possibly sew on a button, but you don't want to. You can only sew it through the top layer here. You don't want to sew it all the way through because then you just sewed your pocket shut. But there you go. I'm calling this the circle wallet because it started with 2 circles.